Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well, today we're going to try to bust something out really quick. Like the thumbnail said, I can't believe this worked, and we're going to have to do it one more time. So we're going to get this stainless steel 3/8 fuel line inside the chassis where it goes over the hump all the way up to the front. So we're going to go all the way inside, come through this open area, and then go back inside again and pop out. So it's kind of interesting how I got it done, but it did work. So let's get in here and get this thing knocked out. All right, guys, I'll show you what I already got done. I got the 3/16 brake line for the rear already in. You can see I've got the spiral protection on it. So it runs all the way through here. And then I zip tied it to the battery cable conduit with stainless steel zip ties. So that worked out really well. It goes all the way inside, and then it pops out right here. It's just hanging here on both of them. We've got a lot of work to do, so I'm not going to try to bend it to match, but it's looking really good. Now, I've already pulled in the fuel line on one pull. So it starts right there. It goes over the hump, down through here, all the way over here. It pops out. It's in the open area. It's just laying in there right now. Then it comes through a hole and exits right there. So that's what we got to do. So let's get in the back. I'll show you how I got all this started and how I made it work. Okay, what we're going to be pulling through is some 3/8 stainless steel fuel line. It's 316L. And it felt pretty stiff. When I first got it, I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to get it up through here and around. But I thought, well, that's where I want the fuel line, so I got to try. So what I did was I got a piece of 1/8 inch like aircraft cable. And what we're going to do is we're going to feed it up through here. You see I already got one in. So I'm going to push that out of the way. We're going to feed this up through here all the way till it pops out the other side in the middle. So that's step one right there. All right, guys, we got that cable fed up through there, and it's coming out right where it opens up, right where we're going to box in that open section. So the next thing I did was drill a 3/16 hole about 1/4 inch back from the end of the 3/8 tubing, and I slid the cable inside of it. So what we're going to do is basically just double that over and put a cable clamp on it and let the cable pull it through instead of trying to push it through or pre-bend it. Because, I mean, this thing has to go up and down and back up and down again. There's no way we're going to feed this through there and then make it all the way to the front. We have to continuously pull this through. So on the first pull, I was able to clamp it right here with the little, turnbuckle cable clamp or whatever this thing is, and it fit through the slotted hole we have here. But now that we have one 3/8 tube already in there, that's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull half the cable out, and I'm going to feed the other end all the way back up to that one. And then what we're going to do is put the cable clamp on there, and then just basically let it pull a large section at once. I think that's going to be a much better way of doing it instead of me cutting a bigger hole, because I don't want to make too big a hole in the side segment of the frame right here, because it needs all the strength it can get right in this, especially right in this spot. So let me feed this through. We'll get it set up, and then we'll move forward. We're starting to pull this through. All right, we got it all set up. It's just about ready to go in. Before it goes in, I want to take this 3/8 tubing. I've got it split open, and we're going to slide it over the top, and this is what's going to protect the tubing as it goes through this hole right here, because it's going to have to come through there and make a turn, and I don't want it gouged on that piece of sharp edge right there. So we're going to rotate this around, and I've got a little bit of oil inside there, and we'll oil it as it goes through. But I'm going to set that right there. We're going to start it up inside the hole, and then we're going to pull this through with that cable. So let's go to the other end and see what I got set up over there. All right, so we have the cable coming down through. You can see just a little bit of white. That's a piece of PVC I cut to help that go past that area. So the cable comes down. We've got it hooked to kind of a heavy-duty ratchet strap right here. I was going to use a come-along, but I saw that ratchet strap, and I'm like, you know what? That'll work. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull that tight, and then we're just going to start slowly pulling that cable through here, and it will slowly pull that tube up through there, over the top, and all the way through. It worked on the first one. There's already a tube in there, so hopefully that cable didn't wrap around it or anything, and it just ran next to it. That's the only problem with this. And I actually ran those cables together. I pulled them back out, taped them together, and fished them through together, because I was afraid if I did one and one went on one side of the tube and one went on the other, when I tried to pull the other one through, it would just jam up and not come through. So kind of redid that. So let me set up the camera, pull this tight and start pulling on it and see what happens. All right, guys, cross your fingers. I don't know if this is gonna work. The first one went pretty smoothly, surprisingly, but this one has another tube in there already, so hopefully this works out. So I'm just gonna pull that tight, watch the other end. Looks like it's pulling pretty nice. Looks like it's working. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull a little bit, then I need to straighten that coil out because I don't want a big, long coil. I want it to kind of, you know how it is when you bend metal, the more you bend it, the stiffer it gets, and that stainless is super stiff already. So I want it to kind of just straighten it out and let it make its own bend as it goes over the hump. So let's do a little bit more here. And then we're gonna go ahead and straighten out that coil. Get a little oil on here. Pull some more. All right, take the slack out. Keep pulling. Boy, it's going really easy. Makes me nervous when it goes that easy. But the other tube is not moving and the nylon's not getting drug in. So I'm gonna give it just a little bit more pull. We'll straighten it out and then we'll just keep going back and forth. Okay, I'm almost at the end where I can pull it with the ratchet strap. So I'm gonna go ahead and move the cable clamp up to here and then we're just gonna grab it again and give it another good pull. All right, let's go some more. There it is. Nice, we made it through the first half. All right, I'm gonna straighten out the tube a little bit and we're gonna reset for the next pull. All right, I got the cable stripped down, I got the cable clamps off of it, and what I did was I fished it through this smaller hole here. That cable clamp will not make it through, and it wouldn't have made it out this side either. So I got that fished through there. So what we're gonna end up doing is pulling that 3/8 tube all the way up to here, and then have it go and then bend gradually and come right out here on top. Now, we'll have to put a piece of nylon tube right here once we get to that spot, because the cable will actually bend that through this radius right here. Just the strength of the cable and that ratchet strap, it'll slowly bend it right through here. I was afraid it was gonna kink it. It did not kink it. So hopefully round 2, it does good as round 1. So let me get the ratchet strap on here and everything set up and we'll start pulling again. All right guys, so here's the setup. I've got the cable running through and I don't want it just to make a turn right away. So what I did was I pushed the cable to the back of the chassis right here, the back side here, and then I slid the handle from my conduit bender down through there. It's acting as a pulley, so the cable's going around that on the inside, coming out over here, and going to the ratchet strap I've got connected on the other side of the frame here. So it's set up pretty good, so what we can do, that will pull that tubing out to about here. Then we can pull this out and then the cable will slowly start to bring that around and exit out here. When I did the first one, I thought for sure as soon as I started bending, it's just gonna kink it over right here. It didn't, but if it does kink it a little bit, we can just keep pulling. We got plenty at the other end, pull past the kink and hopefully it goes smooth and then we'll just chop off the bad part. But it worked pretty good on the first round. And guys, surprisingly, you don't have to pull too hard on the ratchet strap. I thought I was really gonna have to bear down and get the big come along out. It goes really easy, kind of surprising. I think maybe the oil on the other tube down there and just pulling it nice and smooth does the trick. So let me put the camera down and hopefully the second half here goes just as smoothly as the first one. Okay, now we're going to get a tube on there so it doesn't gouge in. So we're going to get the tube on, pull this out, and hopefully it goes right around the corner. All right, let's pull that out. Okay, here we go. Started off a little hard, but there it is right there. All right, let me pull a little bit more out. We'll take a look at it. Here we go. All right, no gouging, no galling or anything on the tube, which is really good. I was kind of worried about that. So we'll check the whole length of it inside the open area, but it feels really good and it didn't kink it at all. I'm gonna call that good right there because these are gonna terminate and turn into AN fittings, so I think we're pretty good right there. All right guys, I just checked it all out. It feels really smooth, no galling, no gouges, no scratches, no nothing, so that worked out really well. Last thing I want to do before we cut the other end off is you can see the tube is laying right dead center of the body mount hole, but the other one is off to the side. So what I'll do is I'll take a flat bar and I'll just push that over, bend it a little bit. You have to kind of work both these holes and just kind of bend it over so it's out of the way. And then we're gonna get to work on protecting that tube all the way up through here. So let me go ahead and take care of that and I'll bring you right back. Okay, we got that bent over and moved out of the way, really nice, so that's not a problem. And before I started this whole thing, assuming it was going to work somehow, I welded these blocks up inside there, drilled and tapped a hole. So there's one here, one right there, and one down at the end. So we'll be able to clamp these up so as they run through here, they'll be separated and secured to the frame. Now up inside here, we can't do that. So what I'm going to do is take this stainless steel spring protector that goes over brake lines and fuel lines, and we're going to just basically slide it over there and keep jiggling and slide it all the way out to this first clamp and do both of them, and then we'll do the same thing on that little short run right there just to protect them. If they're in there jiggling or something sharp inside that frame, it will protect it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. It's just going to be me jiggling and sliding them and probably cussing, trying to get them to push all the way through here, but I think I can get it done. All right guys, we got it done. It wasn't easy. That hole should have been just a tiny bit bigger because they're so close together and they're springs, they're catching on each other. So I should have shoved them both at the same time and it would have worked easier, but I got it done. It goes all the way through here and terminates right there. And you can see I've already got a clamp on it, and I did this side as well. Got them slid through. Obviously this side was super easy. And got a clamp right there. So let's go ahead and get the center one, and then we'll be just about done with this almost impossible task. All right, let's get this last one on here. This clamped up real good. Now I used stainless because I knew it would be a lot tougher and I wouldn't have to worry about it, if it kind of rubbed up against something as I was pulling it. I mean, the stuff is hard, really hard to cut and everything else, so I wasn't worried about it. You could probably do it with a softer material, but stainless seemed like the good choice for me, and it looked like it worked out really well. Let's go ahead and back the camera away, take a look at the whole thing, and I think this thing came out really, really nice. Pretty happy with this. All right, we got both our pressure and return lines installed inside the frame, all the way from the front to the back, so it's looking really good back here. Comes all the way through, nice and protected all the way through the hump, clears the body mount, clears the trailing arm mount, everything else, and then we've got it nice and clean right through here. Because we're going to box this in, so we're not going to be able to get to it. If something bad happens to it, we'll have to just abandon it and run lines on the outside, but I don't see that happening. So we got a nice termination point here too. We're going to be able to cut those off, put some fittings on there, and run it up for the fuel injection. But I'm really happy with the way it came out. I honestly, guys, I thought I was going to fail. I mean, I thought, you know what, Mark, just give it a shot. That stainless, when I got out of the package, it was so stiff, I thought, there is no chance I could barely straighten it with my hands. But, a little persistence, sitting thinking about it for a little while, and it all worked out. So we got one more thing off the list. We're getting very close to boxing this frame rails in. All right, guys, I can't believe how good that came out. I'm just so thrilled that you wouldn't believe it. I thought for sure I was just going to be throwing away some stainless tubing. I mean, I thought I'd get it pulled in there so far and it'd just get jammed and I'd have to beat on it and cut it and just yank it back out and just throw it away all wadded up. But it really worked really well. Now, I'm not kidding about coming through there with no gouges or anything. It's just got some shiny spots where it, went up and over. But it came through with flying colors, and I think that oil helped out quite a bit. Going through the tubing, that nylon tubing, and it really pulled really easy. The last end was the hardest part. So if you guys need to run, tubing inside a frame rail, this might work for you. Fish yourself a cable through there and hook it on and start pulling. It should work out. So this is never going to be seen once we weld and box this in, but we know it's installed correctly. It's going to last longer than I'm alive, I'm sure, and then I don't have to worry about it. And we got some nice clean connections on each end. So really happy to get this done. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell and drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.